My goodness, what a hurry we are all in. Have you noticed? The sheer, frantic velocity of the modern world. Everyone is rushing, dashing, scrambling. Eyes fixed permanently on the horizon. Checking watches, checking calendars, obsessing over the arrival. We are like people on a journey who are so fixated on the destination that we have completely forgotten to look out the window. We are treating existence itself as if it were a transit lounge, a rather uncomfortable waiting room, between where we are and where we think we ought to be. And so I want to invite you to consider a rather strange image. I want you to imagine a ship in the middle of a vast, boundless ocean. But this is a peculiar ship. It has no rudder. It has no compass. And, most terrifying of all, to the sensible, civilized mind, it has no port of call. It is not going anywhere. Now immediately, your mind, that clever, chattering little manager inside your skull, starts to object. It says, "But Alan, that's absurd. A ship without a destination is lost. It's drifting. It's in danger. If we don't know where we're going, how will we know when we've arrived? How can we make progress?" And there is the word, progress, the great god of the 20th century. The idea that life is a straight line, rising upward from the muck to the stars, from the primitive to the sophisticated, from the cradle to the grave. We think of our lives by analogy with a journey, a pilgrimage which had a serious purpose at the end. And the thing was to get to that end, success, or whatever it is. Maybe heaven after you are dead. But we missed the point the whole way along. It was a musical thing, and you were supposed to sing or to dance while the music was being played. You see, when you go to a concert to hear a symphony, specifically a symphony by Beethoven or Mozart, you don't bring a stopwatch. You don't ask the conductor to play the notes as fast as possible so that you can hear the finale and get it over with. If the purpose of the symphony was simply to get to the end, the best conductor would be the one who played the fastest, and the best composer would be the one who wrote only the final crashing chord. But that's not how music works. The point of music is the playing of it. The point of the dance is the dance itself. You don't aim at a particular spot in the room and say, "That is where I must arrive." No, the whole point of the dancing is the wiggle. And yet we live our lives as if they were not music, but a frantic race. We spend our childhoods worrying about primary school. We go to primary school to get into high school. We suffer through high school to get into the university. We grind through the university to get a job. We work the job to reach a promotion. We get the promotion to save for retirement. And then, finally, we arrive at retirement, the great destination. And we find that we are too old, too tired, and too devoid of rhythm to dance. We have cheated ourselves the whole way down the line. We thought of life by analogy with a journey, with a pilgrimage which had a serious purpose at the end. And the thing was to get to that end. But we missed the point the whole way along. So let us go back to our ship. The art of sailing without a destination is the art of realizing that the ocean you are navigating is not an obstacle to be overcome. It is not a distance that separates you from your happiness. The ocean is the happiness. The sailing is the point. But this is very difficult for us because we are brought up in a culture that is entirely obsessed with control. We want to dominate nature. We want to conquer the environment. We speak of beating the traffic, killing time, mastering a skill. It is all extremely aggressive. It is the attitude of a man rowing a boat against the current, veins popping, sweat pouring, trying desperately to force the universe to conform to his little itinerary. And this creates a fundamental anxiety. Because deep down, you know you can't do it. You know, in the secret places of your heart, that the universe is far too big, far too wild, and far too complex to be brought under the command of your ego. The more you try to control it, the more it slips through your fingers. It's like trying to grab water. The harder you squeeze, the faster it leaks out. Or like trying to smooth choppy water with a flat iron. You only disturb it more. So what is the alternative? If we stop rowing against the current, do we just die? Do we just become passive lumps of driftwood? Not at all. This is where the paradox comes in. This is the secret that the Taoists of ancient China understood so well, and which we have largely forgotten. They spoke of Wu Wei, which is often translated as non-action, but that's a poor translation. It really means not forcing. It means the art of sailing with the wind. When a master sailor handles a ship, he does not try to fight the wind. He does not try to command the waves. He studies them. He feels them. He becomes one with them. He adjusts his sails to catch the energy that is already there. He uses the power of the environment to move with it. He is not passive, but he is not aggressive. He is responsive. He is dancing with the elements. But to do this, to really sail in this way, you have to give up the illusion that you know exactly where you are going. You have to give up the fixed destination. Because if you are obsessed with a specific port, you will curse the wind every time it blows from the wrong direction. You will hate the waves every time they push you off course. You will be in a constant state of war with reality. However, if your destination is here, if your destination is simply to be sailing, then every wind is the right wind. Every wave is part of the dance. If the wind blows east, you go east and see what is there. If the wind blows west, you go west and explore that horizon. You are never lost because you are never trying to be somewhere else. You are always exactly where you are. And this brings us to the question of the I, the captain. Who is this captain that is supposedly steering the ship? We have this sensation that I am a little man inside my head, sitting behind the eyes, between the ears, holding the steering wheel of the body. I look out at the world as if it were a foreign country. I am in here and the world is out there. And I have to manipulate it. But this is a hallucination. It is a social fiction. We are taught to feel this way, but it is not the reality of our physical existence. In reality, you are not a separate entity, standing outside of nature. You are a function of nature. You are something that the whole universe is doing, in the same way that a wave is something that the whole ocean is doing. Think about it. Did you create your own nervous system? Do you know how to grow your hair? Do you consciously control the beating of your heart or the firing of your synapses? Of course not. It happens. It happens in the same way the sun shines, in the same way the tides flow. You are not the boss of this process. You are the process. The idea that there is a separate you who needs to take control, who needs to have a destination, who needs to make something of itself, is just a thought. It's a ripple in the water thinking it's separate from the ocean. So, when we speak of sailing without a destination, we are really speaking of letting go of this tight, anxious, grasping little ego. We are talking about relaxing into the flow of life itself. Now I can hear the objection rising again. But Alan, if I just drift, I'll end up on the rocks. I'll starve, I won't achieve anything. You see, we are terrified of the void. We are terrified of the empty space. We think that if we don't fill every moment with activity, with purpose, with noise, we will cease to exist. We think that if we don't have a rigid plan, chaos will take over. But look at the natural world. Look at the clouds. Do they have a schedule? Do they have a 5-year plan? They drift, they pile up, they scatter, they rain, they vanish. And yet the water cycle is perfectly balanced. Look at the birds. As Jesus said, they do not sow, neither do they reap, yet the Heavenly Father feeds them. Now, you don't have to believe in a grandfather in the sky to see the point. The point is that the natural world functions through a kind of organic, spontaneous intelligence that is far superior to our rigid, linear planning. When you sail without a destination, you are tapping into that intelligence. You are trusting the water. And that is a very scary thing to do for a modern person, because we have been trained to trust only our own anxiety. We think our anxiety keeps us safe. We think that if we stop worrying, the plane will crash. But the plane flies whether you worry or not.